Hello, everyone. This is Sherry Greenhouse, Managing Partner of Serum Exchange, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Technology Showcase, Real-Time Call Center Performance Management, Dashboards, Scorecards, and Reporting. You're going to see a live demo for about 40 minutes or so. At the conclusion of the demo, we will have a Q&A. Now, as you can see, we're doing a desktop share today, so I'm going to show you a couple of different tools that you can use, because I know you're going to have a lot of questions from this demo, and we want to make sure we can get to your questions. So if you look at your console, we're on a desktop share right now, and you'll see in green it says Viewing Greg Cummings Desktop at the top. If you put your mouse over that, you'll see chat. And if you pop out that chat, and if you have any technical questions where it says send to, select WebEx Producer, and she will help you right away. The other box I'd like you to pop out is Q&A. So if you click that, that's the Q&A box, and you can minimize these and make them bigger. And this is where you can ask your questions. Feel free to ask them at any time during the presentation, and yours will be one of the first questions that we get to. At the end of the demo, a very brief survey will pop up. It's always very helpful for you to respond to these surveys. Let us know what you thought, any suggestions you have. A couple of questions in there we'd really appreciate if you respond. And we are recording this demonstration, and we will send you a link. It takes about 24 hours or so to get the link. Please feel free to watch this recording again, and of course you can share it with others in your organization. Now, I was amazed at the amount of people that registered for this demo. Hundreds and hundreds registered. Real-time contact center performance management software is quickly becoming the method of choice for measuring, sharing, and improving metrics and KPIs faster than ever before possible. So it's the days of providing managers and even agents with end of the week or month performance metrics are starting to come to an end. What you're going to see today is the VPI Real-Time Performance Management Software, a piece of it that I know you're going to want to see more, but we're just going to show you some highlights. And we have two wonderful speakers today for you to show you this software technology. We have Greg Cummings, Director of Solutions Consulting for VPI, and he has more than 15 years of professional experience. He has extensive background in contact center management, consulting, operations, learning, and development. While working with VPI, he's held the role of corporate trainer, training manager, and most recently, manager of the consulting arm of professional services organization. First, you're going to hear from Patrick Boak, Vice President of Workforce Optimization for VPI. And for those of you that are not familiar with VPI, they're a leading provider of analytics-driven contact center quality assurance, performance management, and workforce optimization solutions. Patrick's leveraging more than a decade of field experience as a contact center management practitioner. He focuses on mission-critical aspects of capturing customer intelligence and optimizing business processes and workforce performance. So it is now my pleasure to turn this over to Patrick.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Sherry. Good morning, good afternoon. We appreciate your time today, and we know it's very valuable. I'm just going to kick it off here for a few minutes and introduce you to VPI and the challenge that performance management is helping solve. So VPI, we've been around for over 20 years. I've been with the organization 11 years, and Greg for quite a while as well. We're headquartered in Los Angeles area, and all our R&D is based here in the U.S. We're up to over 1,000 customers that we partner with globally, and helping them with contact center, improve their contact center operations as well as back office operations. We have a modular suite of solutions. You can see, I won't read them all here. Today we're going to focus on performance management and a little bit on the e-learning piece here. But these modular solutions can layer on top of any of your existing technologies. You may have, one or more of these technologies. These can be added on to them at any time. And, you can either have the full suite or you can, many organizations just use performance management with us, and then they add on with us as we become partners. So, all right, and the next slide, please. Gartner recently did a study of CIOs, and what they wanted within their contact centers was real-time and predictive data. They wanted a unified view instead of the typical fragmented view of contact center systems. And I think most importantly, based on our experience, is insights that are actionable and help drive decision making. So this is a key part of what performance management is kind of these three areas here. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So the challenge that contact center performance management solves is a very critical challenge. Typically, we have siloed information throughout our customer-facing organization. So perhaps you have communication systems. Maybe you've already got them unified. You have seamless experience for IVR, email, chat. Maybe not. A lot of us are trying to create that multi-channel, or you may hear the term omni-channel service experience. And then you have other systems. You may have one or more recording systems, perhaps a separate workforce management system. You have these siloed workforce optimization systems, and then servicing applications. In and of themselves, they have tremendous reporting packages, a lot of, detailed reports. You can drill down, some better than others. And the challenge is when you want to see that information together, right? There's kind of this gap. They're siloed with in and of themselves, but when you try to pull them together, it's very tough to get a unified view and share a unified view of contact center performance with your team, so you can drive behaviors in even daily to near real time and real time. Next slide, please. So the solution, what performance management does, is basically consolidates all this information in as quickly as basically these data connectors to the various systems can grab the data and present them. So here in the middle we have a sample of what we call a desktop ticker, and the ticker, this happens to be an agent ticker showing agent versus group, but you can see it's pulling information from multiple different systems. So it's breaking down all of the silos within the organization, consolidating the most important metrics. It's not pulling every single piece of information in from those systems. It's pulling the most important metrics from each of those systems, the ones that are going to drive behavior and drive change. Next slide. And typical results are pretty astounding. And people are, when they first see this, they're like, wow, within 30 days, is that really possible? And the beauty of performance management is it doesn't take much on the implementation side. It doesn't take much IT resources. Really just figuring out what metrics you want to present to your agents, your supervisors, and what metrics at the executive level that you're interested in seeing. That's really, the most difficult part, just figuring out, we don't want to measure everything. We want to pick 5 to 8 key metrics. What's important for each of us at every level of organization? That's the key thing. But what we find by empowering frontline agents and supervisors is just typically see a 10% decrease in talk time. Wrap time, where agents hide out quite a bit, is a huge opportunity for improvement. We don't always think, we don't want to reduce talk time to where it actually impacts satisfaction, right? We actually want to create a great customer experience, but wrap time is a great place to improve handle time. Customer experience is a big one. Speed of answer. These are just, without even doing anything, just putting real-time metrics in front of agents and supervisors, you'll see a 30% speed of answer and upwards of 25% abandon rate. And if you have any types of sales and collections, it's almost a no-brainer in terms of the value that you'll get almost instantly in terms of a boost in revenue and collections. Just think of the competitive nature of agents and then supervisors, who many of them used to be agents, right? They have a fire in their belly and want to do well, and if they know where they stand, you'll typically see this instant lift. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Greg Cummings, who's going to give you an overview of what he'll be showing today and take you through the software demonstration. Thanks so much.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. And again, I want to echo Patrick's earlier sentiment about thanking everyone for taking the time to join us today. We do appreciate your time. We know it's valuable, so again, thank you for that. Just to build on what Patrick had said, right, during our product demonstration, which is going to utilize most of this session today, right, because that's really what we want to get into. We want to get into product. We want to show you that it really does exist, and these things that we talk about in trying to drive change in organizations are real. And we're going to take us through that evolution. I'm going to kind of tell a story today because I think that helps to resonate with everyone because we all face common challenges with performance management. So we're going to kind of step through the evolution, a day in the life of, right? We're going to start out with the agent and how do we drive agent performance management to really help them to improve on an ongoing basis and be proactive in driving change within our organizations. And then we're going to move up the ladder a little bit, and we're going to talk kind of supervisor, manager scorecard views, allow us to get a better handle on managing our team and measuring the KPIs that are really critical for the organization. And how do we view that data, how do we consume it, and what tools do we have to utilize it. Then we're going to step up a little bit more and kind of get into the manager director level and talk about reporting along with the business intelligence teams. What are the tools that are available that allow us to accurately report, forecast, understand data so we can make organizational change to drive the objectives and goals that we're striving towards, right? And that's a big thing is we want our performance management to align with organizational goals. If we have an organization that's trying to improve customer satisfaction, trying to increase revenue, reduce operating expense. Are those goals aligned with what we're measuring and managing to at the contact center level? There needs to be a direct correlation there, and that message needs to be verbalized and vocalized throughout the entire organization. So we're going to kind of step up the chain, agent, supervisor, manager, and then on up to our director levels and above. Then we're going to talk about ease of creation of metrics, and really it's a big thing for me. I'm all about control. I like control of my data. I want to be able to manipulate and build metrics and customize things without necessarily having to get a vendor involved to do some of those tasks. So we'll talk about, let me show you a little bit about metric creation and building. And then we're going to wrap up with looking at some management dashboards. So, really that's the what. The why is you need better visibility. We want to drive the right behaviors and competencies, better decision-making within the organization. And the big one for me, close to my heart, because I'm also a big quality proponent, is increasing customer satisfaction, right? At the end of the day, we're really trying to drive improved customer satisfaction because we know the downstream impact of that is so important in all organizations. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to get rid of my PowerPoint, and I'm going to take us directly into the demonstration. Again, as we go through this, please submit your questions. We're going to have time at the end to answer those questions, and we are, again, going to hope that you provide feedback in the survey to help us improve and also understand your thought process as we've gone through this. So from a demonstration perspective, right, remember, tell us that story. We're going to start at the agent view. Think of me right now as an agent. I'm going to be logging in and starting to take some calls, maybe at the beginning of my shift, or I'm halfway through my shift as I'm going to get ready to go watch that USA soccer game in a couple of hours. And I want to know how I'm doing, and I should always know how I'm doing. So what you're seeing at the very top of my desktop, and hopefully this is coming through nice and clear for everybody, is an agent desktop ticker. You can see that it has my name. I'm logged into this agent desktop ticker. I've got my logo of my organization. You can customize these. And then I can start to understand and see performance as it relates to me as an individual and how I compare to my group. I can see what my current handle time is, my talk time, my after call work. If I'm bringing in data from other disparate sources, like Patrick had shown on that kind of siloed data slide, we've got systems in all these different places, and if I want to report, if I want to share information, I got to go take it from these systems and compile it and consolidate it and send it out, and that takes time and resources. We want to get away from that. We want to share information all the way down to the agent level that's going to allow them to, again, be proactive in driving change to affect our organizational goals. Total sales values, promises to pay, what's my schedule adherence, what's my current month-to-date quality management, right, quality analysis score. This information is all real-time. If the data is real-time, along with historical metrics, and it's in front of me. It's always up. I can't cover this up or exit it. It needs that visibility. It's very non-intrusive because it takes a very small footprint on the top of the agent screen. And I've also got the ability to send messages, or receive messages, I should say, to my desktop ticker. Right? I can see here we got to be ready for calls because we're expecting some severe weather. I know there's a big storm moving through the Chicago area heading up the Northeast. Right? Maybe that's a true statement for some of you guys that are out there right now with contact centers. We got some weather coming. We got to be ready for calls. There's going to be outage reports. I can request that I acknowledge that message. So real-time visibility of those KPIs, messaging, and then I can also have multiple views built in here. This is a kind of a KPI view that I've got up at the top. And then I've got a quality management view showing my evaluation management status, my most recent scores, or what's our overall customer satisfaction score currently as an organization. I can link directly into my last quality management review. Again, this all goes to performance management. What are the things that are going to help me to improve, right, and drive change? Coaching activities, if I'm assigned an e-learning, right? Everyone, we all kind of understand e-learning and development, especially in the contact center. A lot of that is taken at the desktop level when they have time scheduled from their workforce management department. I know I've got an activity. I can link right in and take that, provided I'm in a set window from my workforce management team. I've got a queue statistics view showing all the primary queues, how many calls are holding, what's our current overall service level. These views are customizable, and within the VPI solution, you have the ability to create these. This might look complex, but it's not. We actually have a wizard designer that allows you to build these desktop tickers. You can create them for your individual lines of business. You can create them and just have one that you push out to everyone. So we've got a very flexible, easy-to-use ticker designer that allows you to build these and deploy them. And then also we can create custom ones for organizations should that be a necessity as well. That's that first step in the story. How do we share information all the way down to the agent level? This is a critical component. A lot of customers that Patrick and I work with on a regular basis, right, they're coming to us looking for these types of solutions. And the agent one is really one that they're trying to get a hand on, especially when you talk about work at home, where you don't have that necessarily personal touch in a brick-and-mortar traditional environment, right? You need to give them as much information as possible to ensure that they're doing what they need to be doing and are kept aware of how things are happening in the contact center. So work at home is becoming more and more prevalent in our world, and it's going to continue to be that way. Right? Technology today has advanced so much that we don't need as many brick-and-mortar. Right? We can work from anywhere, and that's that kind of message. And if we can do that, how do we share that information to ensure that they're understanding what they need to do and where they need to be? Desktop tickers, great tool set, consolidation of data, real-time visibility, always on, always up in front. Now that's that first story. Now let's continue down the path and continue to tell the story. The next view that we're going to talk about is actually within the VPI product. And I'm taking us right along that evolution, which is this manager kind of supervisor scorecard view. What I've done here is I've just launched a web browser, which is our application is completely browser-based. And again, we're a modular suite, right? But we're focusing on performance management. That's why in the static ribbon up at the top, you're going to see us kind of reside in our performance management view. The first view I'm on is what I refer to as our My Metrics view, and this is our scorecards for understanding our team management. And this is really important. So now I'm no longer an agent. I'm actually was promoted, so that's the fastest promotion in history. It's all of about 5 minutes before I made it to supervisor. And now I've got a team to manage. So when I want to manage my team, I might also have a desktop ticker showing me my group stats, right, in real time compared to the center, but I need to dig in a little bit and kind of do some regular performance review and see how my team is performing month to date. So what I've done is I've launched into my agent performance review scorecard. I can see that for the month of June, right, which is currently what I'm looking at, all of the agents that are on my team, right, we're part of the customer service team A group. Right, I'm looking at the month of June, and I'm looking at specific KPIs that are important for me to measure with my team. The beauty of a scorecard is that a scorecard can contain whatever KPIs you want them to have, and I'm going to show you how we build one of these in a few minutes. For me, it's important to work with my team to measure and coach them on their schedule adherence, their average evaluation scores, their handle times, their talk times, their total calls handled, right, and total calls that they placed on hold. Those are the metrics I'm driving as a supervisor. And I need to be able to see those. I can see them where they're above the threshold, right? They're just rock stars. They're really kicking butt. And then I've got metrics that are a little bit low. I can see that with the color coding of the red and the green. I can see someone who's kind of within the threshold range. And then additionally, a lot of us, I know this from my training and development days, a lot of us are visual learners. That's why a demonstration like this is going to be hopefully a little bit more resonating with everyone on the phone today. And along with visual charts and graphs, we like to consume data. It's easy for me to look at this and say, where's my outliers? Right? Marcy Black and Rob Voss are my outliers when it comes to their schedule adherence. I need to maybe check up on them and see what's going on. I can interface with my chart view down here and change another metric. And spot an outlier. Oh, Marcy Black hasn't had an evaluation score in June. You know what? I know why. Because she's new and she's still in her incubation stage and she's being QA'd separately and I'm not having that score brought in. Right? Once she gets out of her 30-day trial, then she'll be incorporated. Okay, that answers that question. Everyone else is doing pretty good. I can continue to go through my list. Her handle time is expected to be a little bit higher, right? Everyone else has seemed to be pretty consistent. So I can update my chart views with different KPIs. I can look at my data, right? I can go back and trend this over time if I wanted to run 3, 4, 5 months and see how the data compares on a chart view. A lot of flexibility. And then one additional thing I did want to add, if I was to notice a behavior, and maybe I did notice something with Rob Voss right down here at the bottom, his adherence is a little bit low. And I've been working on this with him, and I need to kind of give him a little bit more coaching. I want to give him another training exercise that's going to help him to keep focused on managing his time better from a schedule adherence perspective. So right from this view, I can select Rob, and then through my actions menu, I can assign Rob a coaching activity. That's an e-learning exercise. I need to be able to complete the cycle. It's not just enough to review metrics and review data. We actually need to take action with it. And we need to coach it. If we just sit there and review it and say, yeah, I got some problems, right? Or, oh, this all looks pretty good, everything's fine, we're not doing enough. If we spot a deficiency or an issue, we need to coach to it. We need to provide feedback in a one-on-one session, in a training or e-learning exercise, something to help them improve. If we're not doing that step, then we're missing something on a broader scale. So I can assign him directly a coaching activity to help drive that change. And then I've got full, robust reporting on if he completed that coaching activity. And then I would do some trending to see if I had noticed improvement with regard to schedule adherence. A lot of good data, really clean view, easy to understand. If I did want to incorporate another team into this view, maybe I'm serving as a backup for my customer service team B, right? I could add another team into this view as well. So I'm kind of backing up Patrick because he's going on vacation. He's going to take a nice trip to do some skiing. So I'm gonna kind of manage his team for a week as well. I can include multiple teams into this view. Again, that's where that kind of management view comes in. And I can also select from a list of scorecards. Now, I want to show you how easy to make it a scorecard. You might think, this is all really great, but if it's tough and if it's hard, then I'm going to maybe shy away a little bit, right? We want things to be easy, simple to use. Everyone has enough on their plate, right? So this is a very easy process. I go into my performance management, and I go into my design area. Remember, I said you have kicker designers and metric designers. We're going to talk about that later. But I just want to build a scorecard. I'm going to go to my scorecard designer. On the left-hand side, I can see all my existing VPI scorecards. I'm going to create a new one, and I'm going to call this, Team Greg Supervisor Scorecard View. And now I just want to pick the KPIs that are important. So I want schedule adherence, right? And then maybe I want my agent, and wow, look at this list of metrics. That's important. You need to have access to metrics and the data that you want to incorporate. And we'll get into this a little bit more. It all speaks to that control element. You can build, customize, create metrics, utilize them in these different components that we've been talking about. And then I just go through here. I pick agents, evaluation average score, right? There's that one there. I kind of found that. Average handle time. I know I've got that one up here. I think it is. There's average handle time. And then I'm going to take UCCX total ACD calls, right, because those are the 4 KPIs I kind of want to measure, UCCX total ACD calls. So once I've got those KPIs selected from my list, and again, you can pick as many as you want, I hit save, and now I've just created a scorecard. On the left-hand side, you can see it's Team Greg Supervisor Scorecard View. Go back to my Metrics page, and now, right, I can select it from my drop-down list. When I select it, it's going to load up. It's going to run it against my Supervisor Team A, and it's going to show me those KPIs. Really important to have that visibility. I've got 4 KPIs now on this scorecard, and I can flip back and go to any other scorecard that I want. It needs to be simple, easy to use, give you access to the data so you can effectively manage your team. Okay, good stuff, guys. All right, flip back up. If you have questions about this, put them in the QA window. We want to answer those. If we don't get a chance to answer all the questions today, we will take those as an offline follow-up and make sure we get answers out to you or schedule a follow-up discussion to address any points or concerns you might want to go over. So again, get those QA questions in as we want to get that feedback. All right. We're continuing down the story, right? This is kind of that yellow brick road, right? We were an agent. We talked about the desktop tickers, agent performance, showing them KPIs. We then migrated into the product where we started to look at the supervisor manager view by reviewing scorecards. Let's continue to step up the ladder a little bit or step down the yellow brick road, and we're going to jump into what we refer as metrics instant analyzers. This is going to be a very powerful tool that allows us to understand the data right at a deeper level. From our performance metrics view with our instant analyzers, this is an ad hoc reporting tool that allows you to build custom views of the data, in essence, custom reports. Right? That's what we all kind of understand. On the left-hand side, I've got categories where I can categorize my different instant analyzer views. I'm just going to bring one up so you can start to kind of get a sense for what this means, and we'll talk about the various components. In the middle section, and I'm going to go ahead and collapse my category view on the left-hand side, you'll see that this dimensional grid or instant analyzer allows us to do some data manipulation in such a way that our managers, directors, business analyst folks are going to be able to kind of start slicing and dicing this data. We can define our row, right, our columns in a table view, and then also define what values are incorporated into our custom report view. We can start to filter out data, right, and then we can also view the data in a consumable fashion, either in a table view, which I have hidden right now on purpose. I'm going to bring that in a second, along with charts and heat maps. But for me, in this executive report, month to date, what I really wanted to highlight is I have an immediate view saved off that is showing me for month to date, ACD calls, inbound non-ACD, internal and internal outbound calls. The graph that I've got showing initially down here at the bottom is showing me all my ACD calls by a certain set of teams, right, on a daily basis. And then I can also drill down. These charts are interactive. I can select one of these views and drill right down in and see we had a busy day on Monday for my team, right, MCA, and I need to go drill down into that a little bit. So I can select it, and it's going to take me down a level and show me at the team level the agents that are incorporated on that team. But I want to drill back up, so I simply click the drill up, takes me back up to my top level view. Scrolling down, we can see that we've got a heat map, which is going to give us some comparative analysis between two KPIs. You can see the KPIs that are listed, cell size equals inbound non-ACD calls, right, and the all dates for ACD calls. When I hover over a selection, it's going to show me, right, the data for each of the KPIs that are listed, and I can also drill down into this heat map view as well. Right, and I can make this bigger if I want to kind of expand out that view. So a lot of good data. I can interface with it. But really, what I can show you now also is, let me see the tabular view of this data. When I add the table view in, now we can start to see, right, the table, the view of the data that our business analysts love to consume and our managers and directors. I can chart off any one of these particular KPIs by simply selecting the chart icon. It's going to show down in the chart that I was showing you earlier. I can add in an additional KPI, right? Maybe I want to add in something like what's our not ready time on average. It's going to add another column here and show me that data. I've kind of got my data filtered to only specific teams, and you can see all teams for all date range. This is my overall. Watch how I start to collapse this a little bit. This is my director level view. I'm going to collapse this and just start at the very top. For the month, we had 14,686 ACD calls, 513 non, 1,100 internal, and 850 outbound. How does that break down on a per week basis? Let me expand out that view. Great, now I can start to see where my volumes are. How does it expand out for the teams? Expand out, show my teams, and then I can continue to expand out and show the actual individual agents on those teams. So a very nice view, drill through your data. You can build these out to select different data points. I'm going to bring up another one and show us. Here's a manager report view, all primary teams. Right, this again might be kind of that high-level director view. Right, I can show again with a chart and a heat map. And then I've got one more, and I just want to show you, this is my center KPI month-to-date report, again showing me how my center is performing with two critical KPIs, calls handled versus calls placed on hold. This is an initiative we're trying to tackle, is minimizing the calls that we place on hold, so I need to measure that, be very precise with that data, right, and start to review it. These are very simple to build and create. We've got a creation designer over on the left-hand side where we can actually build these views. I can select how I want to categorize them. You see the report view. I'm going to go ahead and drop this into that category. I'm going to call this, right, a center review. I can select the source of my data. I've got individual source views, right, those disparate data sources Patrick was talking about. We brought that data in. Cisco, Workforce Management, VPI's Data Mart, which is all the quality, coaching, call recording, speech analytics data. Maybe I want a combined view, and I want to pick data from multiple sources and build that into one report view. That's important, right? I can select that multi-source view, and then I'm going to go against, right, the agent daily view, and I can make these public if I want everyone to see this. So again, we give you a lot of great tools to kind of step through, build these views out, and again, it doesn't require the involvement of a vendor. And that's one thing, although I'd love to spend a lot of time with you guys and do that from a professional services perspective, I want to empower you also with the tool set that you need to be successful in driving change in your organization, right? Hopefully, right, if I ask if we got any change agents out there, you guys are raising your hands because you guys are trying to drive some organizational change and really put the tools in place to do that. And this is one way, right, to build that out. I can quickly build a view, right, and then I'm done, and now it's added to my ACD view on the left-hand side. Select a view, right? I'm going to view that data. So very important, really good tool, building custom reports, graphical heat maps, drill down capable, export out to Excel if you want to massage that data further, and a very robust capability for building these custom reports. Okay. Incident analyzers, fun stuff. I could spend hours just on this, but I know we're just giving you kind of a piece of the pie, so we're going to keep stepping through this. Another important component is there's always the notion of what kind of data are we capturing. We do integrations with multiple platforms, Cisco, Avaya, Nortel, StarPound. There's a number of different reporting views that can be created. And an example I'm going to share with you today is the bringing in of data from the Cisco UCC Express platform. And what we've designed and built for our user base is a reporting dashboard that takes all the key components and gives them to you on one view, right? We're still stepping up the ladder here, right? We talked agent, supervisor, manager, right? Now we're kind of manager, director level view, that BI team view. This is where they're going to spend quite a bit of time when they're running their reports, right, and want to analyze and review data. And this page is broken down into a few different logical areas. Left-hand side are all the out-of-the-box reports. Each of the integrations that we perform, we create a wide range of custom reports that allows you to get into the data and start to analyze it deeper. And we're going to get into one of those in a minute. On the left-hand side at the bottom, we've got direct links into the different incident analyzer views we created that I was just showing you. Right? I can just pop right into my executive report, month to date, and watch, it's going to pop open a new tab, and it's going to show me that view. That's pretty cool. Right? I can, boom, just link right into it. I don't have to go run that from there. My dashboard, in essence, becomes kind of my home base. And then on the right-hand side, we've got some real-time queue-level widgets. Current agent status summary, right, showing me how many are in work, talk, reserve, ready, not ready. The current agent status detail, each agent name is listed, their current status, their time and state. Current calls in queue, the queue names, the calls in queue, and the longest waiting real-time updating widgets on the right-hand side, direct access into the out-of-the-box created reports. We've got a whole bunch of them, and then direct links into your instant analyzers that you've created. You need access to this data. When I select a view from a report, I'm going to jump into our ACD call handling report, and you're going to notice that this report is going to build, and it's going to present to me some good data. Along the left-hand side, what you're starting to see are all of the different groups that are built into my system. And I've got a lot of teams, right? Because now I'm stepped up. I got promoted again. That's the fastest promotion in history. Now I've made director in a whopping 22 minutes. So now I've got to look at everybody, right? Now I'm looking at all the folks, right? All the teams that report to me, and I need to start to analyze some of this information. My team structure, the number of days built into my report view, the number of agents incorporated in each team, and then some of those KPIs presented. ACD, I can sort any of these by simply selecting on the header. If I hover over, it's going to really tell me what that means, right? As well, I need a refresher on what these KPIs really mean and what they're kind of how they're calculated. And then I can drill down in. That's important. I don't want to send you back to the dashboard. If I can avoid using my back button at all costs, I will. Systems need to be intuitive. I want you to drill through, step back up, right, and not have to use back buttons and forward buttons and all this stuff. I just want to drill down. I need to go take a look at Brian's team. I was talking to that supervisor a little bit, and we need to spend some time focusing on Brian's team. Let me just drill down into the 3 agents that are part of Brian's team. Oh, there we are. Marcy Black, Eddie Curran, right, and Hermaine Holmes. What are their KPIs? Oh, maybe I want to add a chart view to this. On the left-hand side in the upper corner, I'm actually going to show a chart and actually point out the fact that you can export any of these reports as a PDF or as an Excel workbook. When I close this view down, a chart is going to build. Again, visual. A lot of us are visual learners and understanders of data this way. I can adjust my chart to show pie, bar, line, or heat map views. Right? I can put a different metric on this chart and, again, start to spot the data. Oh, and I can drill down. That's important. I want to be able to dig in a little bit on Marcy Black and drill down to that view for data. I can also select down at the very bottom Marcy Black for the 14 days and go look at the interval level. That's really where we start to drive some change. When we start to look at things at an interval level, focus, right? How are we doing as an organization? Drilled all the way down. I started at a top level, and let me just step back up. I'm going to clear off Marcy. Now I'm back to the team view. I'm going to clear off Brian's team, back to my organizational view of the data. Important that you can do that. You can step through, right? Head back to my UCCX dashboard, pick another report. That was one report, and I went down to 4 layers deep, I think, right? Get all the way to the interval level. You've also got different date time parameters you can set. We've got all the Q level reports, and this is just for the Cisco. We've got the same flexibility and functionality with the Avaya platform, the UCCE enterprise platform, just a lot of different integrations about consolidating data, bringing that information in, and giving you the tools to be actionable with it. Okay, really great. Could spend a lot of time here. Love to in the future. Let us know. Going to get in the weeds for just a moment. I sometimes like to be that guy that I get in the weeds a little bit and kind of show you some stuff that sometimes Patrick's like, oh, that might be a little too deep, but I think my audience here is going to get it. Right? I want to show you metric design. This is important. Talks about that control factor. We give you the ability within our product to create and customize KPIs and build these metrics. As an example, on the left-hand side in our designer, we can show you all of the out-of-the-box metrics that are incorporated in the solution. Over 160 out-of-the-box KPIs, and then you have the ability to actually customize them if you want to just make a simple modification or create your own. What I mean by that is I can select a metric like average handle time. Everyone hopefully understands handle time. Handle time in general is talk time plus work time plus hold time divided by calls handled. That will give you a standard, industry standard, average handling time calculation. But what if you wanted it to be a little bit different? Here's the formula that we're using to build it. Normally, you'd have to get IT involved or try to get, your vendor, someone else to make a change, and you want to build a metric. It can be a challenge. We make that easy. We break down that barrier. I'm a user, right? I might be not an agent, right? I'm more of maybe a power user, but I want to duplicate that metric and I'm going to call this UCCX average handle time for my tech team. And you know what? For my tech team, I do not hold them to a certain after-call work value because I know they're doing Tier 3 order process or issue processing, so I'm not as concerned about their after-call work time. So let me just remove that value. Okay, I've just made or updated or customized a KPI. Now it's total talk time plus the sum of total hold time divided by your calls handled. Right? You need to have the right operators, and we teach all this in training in the educational classes that we provide to our customers. So this is very simple. We give you access to all the source data and all the columns that are actually in the database. Some of you might not understand this. Some of you do. That's great if you do. But really it's about control of your information and control of your data. You need to be able to build and customize KPIs that fit your business. I've been doing this for a very long time, and Patrick has as well. It's very rare that you see organizations that measure everything exactly the same. There's usually always a difference of some kind, different targets, different thresholds, different ways that they calculate their metrics. So trying to just fit everyone's solution, we have the out-of-the-box that covers the 90%. But you need the flexibility to build more on your own, right, so you can start to work through that. Really, really great tool set for building KPIs, customizing the data, and putting that control back in your hands. That's what's important. And it's not a lot of work, right? It really isn't. At the end of the day, training, a little bit of focus, that change agents, right, that we've got hands up raised, right? Those folks that are really trying to drive that organizational change for the contact center are going to be the ones that are going to help champion the cause and really kind of adopt these solutions. Agent level, right? That's the start of our path. Desktop tickers showing that view. Supervisor manager scorecards from the perspective of our My Metrics, our scorecard views, consumable data to manage my team effectively. We continue to step up and talk about our instant analyzers, right? Management director level views, BI team. And then we dove into our report dashboard for the Cisco UCC Express solution. And we started getting the weeds a little bit and talked about the metric design. But you can see how all these things really help us along that evolutionary path for performance management. You need to have all these pieces tied together. The big part of it is consolidation and collection of data from multiple sources. Right? As this example shows, and I kind of pause here because it shows as a really clean example, adherence is from my workforce management system. Evaluations are from my QA management system. My telephony data is from my telephony reporting application. This data is combined, centralized, one view, and it doesn't take me asking someone to go create a report and give me an Excel workbook that has all this broken down. I need to measure in real time, get the data when I want it to drive that change. Really important to have that data collection. Bring in survey data, bring in CRM data. If you got an outbound dialer that's doing dialing, it has metrics associated with the number of right party connects, the number of promises to pay. You've got data from a lot of systems. Bringing that data in, making it actionable, and presenting it out is really, really critical. The last thing I want to wrap up with before we close off and open it up for some questions from Q&A is one of the components I refer to as what a dashboard. So I'm going to take us to our My VPI dashboard, which is a view into particular KPIs as they're deployed on widgets. So a widget is simply a data element that allows me to display a KPI and view its performance. As an example on the dashboard view that I have displaying right now, total claims processed for the week. Oh, because we're attaching to the claims management system. And we're getting that data, we're able to aggregate it, and we're able to show that on the total number of claims that we've successfully processed. How am I trending? Right? That's good. I can see that we had a rough, last week. We had a day that was a little dicey. A lot of claims came in. That was probably when that storm hit, upper Texas or wherever that was. Right? Oh, and it's slowly gone down as it's gone away. What's our average wait time? Total service tickets open today for my contact center. Total new orders, on a per agent basis maybe. Occupancy ratings. I can build and customize a dashboard view that allows me to create this view of the data and start to consume it again from another perspective. Building and creating and customizing a widget is very simple. This is a control chart widget. I can put any metric. The reason I took us here last right, is because I wanted you to see the pieces. I wanted you to see metrics and design and kind of understand that piece. And then you start to say, I've made metrics. What do I do with them? Well, we put them on scorecards, on tickers, right, in the instant analyzers, and we also build out, right, our widgets based on any of the metrics that are available. So any metric that you build, have available in the system, can be deployed. You can view it by day, week, month. We can do grouping based on agent or group. You can select your date ranges, and it's going to refresh every 45 seconds if there's going to be new data. I can select the agents from a pick list. So a lot of control and flexibility with how you build out your dashboard and how you configure your widgets. Another nice thing, too, is I get it. We're all busy. Building a dashboard, that might sound like some work, but we make it easy. We actually give you the ability. Right? I kind of sound like an infomercial there. We make it easy. But really what we want to do is we want to allow you to create user configuration templates, meaning that you can templatize a lot of this. You can build and create a management level template, a supervisor template, executive template, push that out to their user profile, pre-configured, out of the box, ready to go based on how you build a template, and then give them kind of a starting base. I like to give people a starting base. If I gave you a blank canvas, it's going to maybe take you several months to create something. I'm going to give you paint and a canvas. It's going to be a little while before you actually get a painting done, right? You might throw some stuff on there, but say, oh, I got other stuff to do, and I've never been a good painter. But if I give you a painting that's 90% done or 100% done and have you fill in some color, add a little bit to it. Make it yours. That's a lot easier to adopt than a blank canvas. So we do a lot of out-of-the-box dashboard template views. You can create these. You can push them out and give people that painting that they just have to fill in a little bit of color, a little bit of detail, and they're ready to go. Okay, so I've come to my stopping point, which for anyone who's ever heard me before, that is good for me because I think I stayed right on target with my timing. Well, actually, I've got one more thing. I'm checking it off my list here. There is one more component, and then I promise we're going to open up for QA. We also create wall boards. It's been a resurgence I've really seen in the last few years. They were really big back in the, early 90s and before and up, and I kind of saw them go away. We've seen a resurgence of wall boards. TVs are so cheap these days. You go to, your favorite big box store, and you can buy a big TV for next to nothing. Wall boards are, again, that coming back. Putting data, right, which is in our environment, just think of it as a bigger desktop ticker. Displaying on a full screen where you can send messages to it. You can show critical KPIs that are important, right? There's calls in queue, longest call waiting, service levels. You can put your CSAT up there. You can build and customize wall boards. We've got that ability to deploy those, work with you on designs. We've got that industry expertise, and we build, I think I did close to 24 last year alone, wall boards. So really a lot of flexibility there. Visualization tools for performance management is, again, the problem we're trying to solve. So thank you for listening to me, and thank you for listening to Patrick. I've had a great time going over this with you guys. I hope you enjoyed the demonstration. I hope it either answered some questions or prompted you to have some more questions. We want to entertain those. We want to talk to you. Again, I can't stress enough, we would love your feedback. If you can take the 30 seconds at the end to fill out that survey, we would really appreciate it. And now I'm going to open it up, kind of hand the ball back over to Patrick, and we'll open it up for Q&A. Thank you guys so much for your time. Patrick, it's all yours.
Sounds good. Thanks, Greg, and thanks for your fantastic questions. We have quite a bit. I'm going to group a few of these together because there's several questions around some of the same areas. One of the main common themes in terms of questions is around integrations. Can you integrate with the Avaya ACD? Can you integrate with chat? Can you integrate with workforce management systems, other quality management systems, things of that nature? So, and the answer is yes, that's what we do. That's I think a big part of the value of a performance management system is being able to consolidate all of that information. When you saw Greg show the metrics designer, you saw, a lot of those sources, they show, you get real-time views, daily views, historical views. All that data That's what we do well. We have data connectors to various CRM systems, ERP systems, and one of the questions on the survey is kind of asking what data sources you'd be interested in pulling data from. Help desk systems, claim systems, various ACDs. I would say ACDs or dialers or both. That's actually one of the questions. Can you pull data from the ACD and the dialer if they're logged into both and show those metrics? And yes, you can. But the ACD and the dialer are typically the first places that organizations start to pull in information. So they'll look at, whether it's a Cisco like UCC Express or Enterprise like Greg showed, or if it's a VI or whatever phone system you're using, they'll start there because those are some of the most commonly measured metrics or KPIs that we see. If you think about calls in queue, service levels, talk time, wrap time, all this kind of data which helps drive behaviors if you put it in front of agents. And by driving behaviors, it's things like, hey, if I see that there's calls in queue, I may not go on my break right away, right? I may help the team out. You see a lot of that kind of activity where people are helping each other out because they know exactly how things are going. And it's not just at a group level. Albeit wallboards are important, showing information at a group level, like Greg showed. To us, that's kind of a ticker. It's just a larger ticker with group level metrics. But seeing it on an individual agent level, starting with kind of the ACD, and then here's a great question, kind of related to that. Can you create a metric based on different systems, right? So the question here is average sales value per call. And that's a great example of what we call a KPI. You're taking two metrics, sales value from your CRM system, whether it be Salesforce or RightNow or, any of these different sales systems, and you're using the call information to create this, what we call a KPI. These two metrics roll up into a KPI, into average sales value per call, and you can actually put that in your scorecards, your tickers, your dashboards, your reports, however you like to use that metric. So, then there are some other questions around security. Can security be administered so that certain individuals' roles can only access certain reports and views? And Greg, a lot of these questions I'm going to kind of pass over to you, and then I'll kind of expand as well where appropriate.
Yeah, that's a great question, right, for the folks who asked that. Yes, we have got a very robust user administration that allows us to segment out what views of data users can see. First and foremost, you only have access to the data that you're supposed to have access to. What I mean by that is if you have a team of agents, maybe it's 15, then you're only going to be able to run your reports against those 15. And we can also limit you from not being able to look at maybe queue-level reports because you might see all the queues. So we've got, through our user administration done right within the interface, again, it doesn't have to be IT. This can be business-level user administration and management. You have the ability to create and define your users, your group hierarchy, right? We do Active Directory integrations where we can sync all your users. We can bring in the group structuring, and then as well as being able to define and create customized roles that allow you to get very granular. As an example, the reason I brought us here is you can define what level of reporting access folks get, the rights to based on how you define the roles in the system. So we give you a lot of flexibility. We've been doing this for a long time, like I think I've said a few times here. So we've got a lot of this out of the box. It's already set up. We give you a good out-of-the-box kind of painting, and then you're able to build and create your own roles and permissions, your own group structuring, bring in all your users. So really good, easy, flexible way to only make sure that only the right people have access to the right data based on what they should have access to. So hopefully that answers your question. If it doesn't, please put through a clarification, and we'll make sure to get that.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Another question is related just to out-of-the-box ACD reports. So, in an environment we have a certain telephony platform, maybe the ACD reporting isn't as robust as you'd like. like I mentioned, a lot of people just start with ACD reporting, better ACD reporting. Question is, we have limited interval reporting out of the box with our platform. We'd like to see call arrival patterns for each, half hour. Is that possible?
And yeah, it sure is. I'm actually going to bring up an example of it right now. So give me just 1 second, Patrick. If you want to give me one moment there, I'm going to bring up. We'll take it down to an individual day for one of our teams. If you're still viewing the webinar, I'm going to get to your question here in just a second. What I've done is I went down for an agent performance summary report, right? This is a group trend view by day, but you asked, can we see it by half hour? You sure can. You can see up here, we can summarize this data by time interval, which is by half hour, by day a week, month, year, quarter, based on our range. I'm going to show you by half hour. And now I can see, right, on a half-hour basis, number of agents, availability, not ready, occupancy, utilization, productivity, calls handled, handle ratio, exceed work time. Patrick and I do a presentation. We've done it 2 years in a row now. We talk about performance metrics management. One of the key things is a lot of people look at service level and a lot of KPIs on the end-of-day basis, but really you want to start measuring and managing those KPIs on a half-hour interval because at the end of the day, the average might work out. But if we miss a good 3-hour window in the middle of the day because our scheduling is off, we get too many people on breaks and lunches because I wanted to go to lunch with Patrick, so we just popped off the phone together, even though he's supposed to go 10 minutes after me, right? It's going to have an impact. You can start to view and analyze that data when you get your reports down to the time interval and start to get some root cause analysis going. So yes, you can take it down to the half-hour interval on all of these Cisco and out-of-the-box report views that we have for both Cisco, Avaya, and various other platforms. So I hope that answers your question. If it doesn't,
yeah, that's a great point. We talk beware of averages, right? End of the day might look great, but if you look at the intervals where customers are suffering or agents have too much time, that's what you need to look out for to optimize the performance. So that's a question for conditional formatting, green or red, on the scorecards and so forth, the tickers. Does it have to compare to the goal level, or can it be based on the team or group average? And no, it doesn't have to be a static value. It can be based on a value like team or group average. So that's a great question. Thank you. So this one is really good, and it involves change management, right? So, the software is here. It allows you to kind of plug and play. If you plug into your ACD and various data sources, you'll start seeing all this information that you can use in various formats and sharing it with your employees. Any recommendations in terms of change management, getting access to data from other departments who may not be willing to share that data, and how do we kind of sell it to other departments? So, Greg, if you have any recommendations, and I have some as well on that point, I think that's a great question because this is a tool that helps you, but there's also, you have to sell it internally as well.
Yeah, and Patrick, I'm sorry. I was just responding to someone here on a chat, so I kind of missed out on that first piece. So just tell me again.
Yeah, so I'll start that. So basically, the question is about change management. How do you get this? And typically, like I mentioned before, we do start with connected to the ACD system and just get agents. You can start it in one department to show the results. We have one customer there in financial services. They have, the CRM system. They're using, obviously an ACD. They started with just their ACD metrics, and they started showing supervisors and agents information in real time. And what they saw almost instantly, within a week, they saw a 10% improvement in handle time. And this is a big one for them. It was a 7% improvement in availability. And that keeps going up to this day. They keep seeing improvements there. What they did is they just got creative with the ticker, and if the agent wasn't in the appropriate state that they were supposed to be in, it just popped open a little message saying, hey, you're supposed to be in this state, reminder, and then the agent would get into the state so that they'd be kind of out of the not ready and ready to take calls again. And just a simple thing like that, a 7% improvement in availability, right? That's huge within a week. So, and then obviously saw a lot of other benefits as well. You start pulling in information from the CRM system, sales values, order values, customer satisfaction information is in their CRM as well. They're pulling that in. So there's a lot you can do, but start simple, show the value just of real-time information, empowering kind of the front line with that information. And then you can always add data sources as you'd like, right? So different data sources. And we have customers that, create balanced kind of scorecards, if you will, where, we talk about that combined metric. Well, their combined metric is 20% times adherence, 25% times quality, 15% times customer satisfaction. Whatever that overall performance metric is, you can create that as well, and you can show that in real time to everyone who's incentivized on that overall performance metric. Maybe you do competitions. You've heard of the term gamification, things like that. You can do because now you have, you know where you stand at all times on your performance metric.
Yeah, Patrick, I think you covered it. And, I guess just from an organizational or operational perspective, getting buy-in is the biggest thing, right? Buy-in from top management if you can, with departmental management. Buy-in is the biggest thing, and having that change agent and just really kind of showing and getting that adoption. That's going to be, the change is hard. I think we all know that. Anytime you're trying to incorporate change, institute change, it can be difficult. But when you have senior leadership and management buy-in and there's a driving force behind it and it's tied to organizational goals, like I mentioned during the presentation, it really helps with adoption. And then starting off and piloting in a small group, like Patrick said, can be a great way to show that, this is going to take us in the right direction. So piloting, getting a small group, and then slowly building on from there, and in making sure that everything aligns internally. You need to be ready to take on these types of initiatives, ultimately with the end game in sight, which is we're trying to improve customer satisfaction. And these are some of the tools and steps and changes that we need to make internally to do that, and having the right solutions or tools in place to drive that is really important.
Okay, thank you, Patrick and Greg. We're a little bit over our time, so we're going to need to close down this webinar. But there are a lot of questions, I see, Patrick, that you have not gotten to, so we'll make sure that you and Greg get those questions, and you will have your questions answered directly. And it was a great presentation. If you want to, Greg, just put up the contact information. I think you had that back in the PowerPoint slide, so people can reach out to you. As a reminder, the webinar recording will be available in about 24 hours, and we will send you the recording so you do not need to ask for it. We'll get that right to you. Any questions, again, we will get to Patrick and Greg. And at this point, we are over, so we will need to close this webcast. Thank you very much. It was a real interesting demonstration, Greg. And thank you all for attending this afternoon. And at this point, we will need to close this webcast down. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Have a good afternoon.
Have a good day.